All right, so this is all about taxonomy, and basically that it was invented by Carlos Linnaeus. He just created, and it's just a naming and classifying system, and it's called taxonomy. And taxonomy is just naming and classifying of organisms. So when scientists are doing this, they're just looking for similarities in like outer features as well as inner features, maybe some traits or habits they do. So they use a binomial nomenclature system. So bi means two, and nomenclature just means like to name something. So this is a two-part naming system. You guys have probably seen it before, definitely if you've been went to the zoo or something. So you go up to an exhibit, it says Panthera leo, that's the genus, and that is the species. And what's that mean? That means you're looking at a lion. This is actually constantly adapting and adding based on DNA evidence. So we continuously are advancing things and reorganizing things as we get new data. And all this data is basically from DNA. Okay, so let's look at this little red fox over here. So this is all of the classification kind of system as we break things down. So we start at domain, and then we go to kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, and species. So this is kind of how we work through and break down each animal. This is our classification system. This is taxonomy. So looking at this example here, this is kind of how you can see how it starts really broad, like these are all animals, and then it breaks down. So this example is for a dog. You can see where it says species familiaris, right? It's like familiar species with dogs. So what would make this different from, say, like a wolf would be the species. So wolves and dogs are both in the genus Canis, but the species for a wolf is Lupus. So what about a human, right? We're technically animals, so we also fall into this category. So we are in the Animalia kingdom because we are animals. Not sure if I'm spelling this right, but that's all right. So we got kingdom. The phylum is Chorda or Chordata. Basically, that just means that we have a vertebrae, we have a spine. We are mammals, so we are in Mammalia. We are in primates. So primates are just classified things that have nails or really big brains. Then we are considered hominids, which is like chimps, humans, orangutans, gorillas. And then our genus is Homo, and then specifically our species is sapiens. So we are Homo sapiens. That is your genus and species. That is what you are classified as, an animal. So when looking at this, this kind of where we came from. So we didn't evolve from chimps. We evolved from like lesser people, I would say. So when looking at these, we can see we have Neanderthals and Homo sapiens, Homo sapiens sapiens. So we are all the way on the right side there. We are just Homo sapien people. Down here, this is a fossil of, it's called Lucy. And it's a very famous fossil found in Africa, kind of showing the lineage of where we came from. So Homo erectus really led into Neanderthals and Homo sapiens. So this current map is kind of our best, to our best knowledge, kind of what happened. So we all started as the Homo erectus, which is this like bright yellow here. And then so the Homo erectus is basically just means like walking upright, our most common ancestor, and that split into two things, which is the Neanderthals and the Homo sapiens. So what we can see is that the Homo sapiens spread out throughout the whole world, and all people now are Homo sapiens. The Neanderthals are only this kind of mustard yellow color, and they only traveled to Europe. They were like a hunter-gatherer people. They are extinct now. Neanderthals no longer exist, but they are our most common ancestor. They're just like another form of person, basically. It's actually funny, if you take a DNA test, you can see if you have any Neanderthal blood in you. And it's really, really common. Like I know for myself, like I took a DNA test and I found out that I have 6% Neanderthal DNA. It can range anywhere from 2 to 8%, especially if you are white, because they were in Europe. So really the only way that you're not going to have that Neanderthal blood is that if you are purely just from African descent with no other ethnicities in you. All right, so second half of this note today is cladistics. Basically what that is just a classification based on evolution and common ancestry. So this is just putting that knowledge we have into a diagram form, and it's all about the common ancestor. So the actual diagram is called a cladogram, and it is a diagram shared traits as well as their evolutionary ancestry. So I'm not going to go too into detail on this cladogram because I think there's other videos on the internet that do a really good job explaining it. So I'm going to link one of those on here as well. When we're talking about a clade, that is a triangle area on the graph or on the diagram. So this little triangle area. And what that depicts is that a trait is shared by that common group of ancestors. So in this case, there is an amniotic egg. And that is what everything in the triangle will share. At each point where one of the lines branches off, those are called nodes. Write that a little more clearly, nodes. And so animals diverge at each node, so everything after that certain point will have, that is the least common ancestor at that point. And this really is showing evolutionary relationships. All right, so last thing here, this is the big tree. This is the tree of life, literally. So this whole group over here, this is all different types of bacteria. They have their whole section on the side over there. This middle section is archaea, okay, different type of bacteria, more closely related to us. And then finally, this section over here in brown, this is the eukaryotes. So we are eukaryotic. We talked about those differences between prokaryotic and eukaryotic at the very beginning of the year. And there we are. There are the animals. So this is us on the big tree of life.